What's up, party people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 206 and season 6, episode 32 of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony coming back at you for the 206th time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow hoodlums, shady characters, lowlifes, scumbags, criminals, heathens, fugitives from justice, scoundrels, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, wise guys, hooligans, foul-mouthed raging alcoholics, MLB players that have been into a fight with Bryce Harper. You know who you are, and thanks for watching. Cheats, gangsters, fienders with abusive language, degenerates, let's face it, anybody with a massive gambling problem. If you're new to the show, hey, congratulations. That means you probably fit into one or a few of those categories, so welcome, because you're now one of us. Gooba Gaba, one of us. We accepted one of... Sorry. Just know the reference. That's all I have to say. Hey, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down here in the lower right-hand corner and ring that bell. That way you can get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word's also very easy. Just tell other fiendrets, degenerates, and scumbags you know, like Tree, to go to YouTube and enter Thoughts and Hunches in the search bar. That'll take you directly to my page. You can get dialed in everything that I give you. Also, if you're new to this channel and you don't know what's what, it's college and pro football winners, college basketball winners, and MLB playoff winners. I just give you the picks. No player props and absolutely no parlays. Why? Because I like my money. I keep it right here and I play it, but not on parlays. I don't like giving my money away because that's all you're doing with parlays. You're throwing money away, Mr. Foolproof Parlay. The books, they don't expect a guy like me to deliver this many winners. I'm an outlier and I'm a disruptor. I'm like the Beastie Boys. I disrupt.
Step inside the party, disrupt the whole scene.
That's what I do. I go to the mattresses and get the info for you every week in order to get you to the window with a ticket to cash. Now, before I get to the picks, as usual, I have some thoughts.
Give me all you got. Listen, give me all you got.
That's right, Al. You let him know. Quick housekeeping here is Stoniecast 207 is going to drop on Wednesday night, and I'll have all of the Sweet 16 matchups. Stoniecast 208 with the Elite 8 selections will be next Saturday morning, a lot like this one. Also check back in the comments section of this one on Tuesday for NIT quarterfinal picks. But just be aware that there's only 2 weeks left in the season until I phone it in for the spring and the summer. Real quickly, if you hear my phone beeping and whatnot throughout this, it's because I work with Bracket Guy. Bracket Guy is the worst kind of person there is this time of year. Total pain in the ass. We have a free bracket challenge that nobody puts any skin in the game on, right? Yet there's a Tennessee honk, which tells you all you need to know. He's a moron, right? Because all Tennessee honks are, right? That's all he cares about. UT, right? And he's texting everybody, and I texted everybody in the group with a leaderboard after day one on Thursday, and now he's just blowing me up. How about UT? How about them Vols? Nobody gives a shit. So stop, all right? And as for Matty the Mush, forget about it. Nobody cares what you have to say anyway. Okay, rant over. Now, let me start by telling you all that AJ DeBonsa is the truth. I can basically stop right there, right? But this is a special kid who, from what I hear, is just as good a person as he is a baller. I've talked ad nauseum this year about the highly decorated freshman class, and even though the media has already decided that Cam Boozer is going to win National Player of the Year award for some reason, AJ DeBonsa is the best player, period. You've got Boozer, Mikael Brown Jr., Keaton Wagler, Kingston Flemings, Darren Peterson, Jacob Williams, and a lot more, right? But the two best players this year were Darius Acuff Jr. and AJ DeBonsa, period. I told you all about Acuff in Stoniecast 205, but DeBonsa came in as the number 1 overall recruit and got a shit ton of money to go to Provo, controversially, and he lived up to all of it. Inside, outside, defensively, clutch, he has everything. and is as NBA ready as Peterson or Acuff are right now. I understand the allure of getting to the NBA and taking it to the next level and showcasing your game. But as a college basketball fan, I wish one of these guys stays. I really do, right? Although it ain't going to happen. It's just not. I would love to see them stay, but, they've got to go. They've got to make their money, and the NBA. But all I got to say, Godspeed in your NBA journey, AJ. You are the man, and you were a joy to watch this year. I just wish I could keep watching you, because I'm never going to watch you again now once you get to the NBA, because, well, nobody watches the NBA. As for the week that is, because it's still going. The week's not over till tomorrow. I started off on Tuesday by delivering a haymaker to the books with 3-1 on the first night of the first four and 6-2 in the NIT to close 9-3. Wednesday, I went 2-2 in the first four and another 6-2 in the NIT to get me to a hefty 17-7 lead after only 2 days. Thursday and Friday were all about the NCAAs, and I absolutely delivered a knockout blow on day one, Thursday, to the tune of 12-4 on sides and 10-6 on totals. Just stop and digest that for a minute. Phone's blowing up with bracket guy. Look at my numbers in the bracket. Look how well I did in the bracket. There's no numbers in the bracket. You're just picking winners. A 3-year-old can pick winners, right? I don't care about that. I care about numbers, right? 12-4 and 10-6, right? Most people were winning 12 games in their brackets with no spreads. 12-4 is 75% against the number. It really didn't even matter how I did yesterday because the damage was done as I just kept stacking winners all week. I had a disappointing 7-9 Friday on sides, but I delivered 11-5 day in totals to make me 21-15 on sides for the week and a gaudy 24-12 on totals. Those are just sick numbers that has all but guaranteed my 15th straight winning week as long as I don't shit myself today and tomorrow. I will not dive into all the numbers because normally I would take a peek at the numbers right now, but I can't dive into them because the week ain't over yet. So let's just move on, all right? Now, once again, I want you all to remember that these are all picks are 100% free. And for all the touts out there that are charging you for picks and that are giving you 75 to 80% winners guaranteed, just stop. All right, come on. We all know you're full of shit and you're charging for these picks. With me, just come to YouTube every week and I'll drop my plays on you for free. Plus, I want you all to know that these are all bets that I'm personally going to make with my own money. So I'm not just throwing darts at a board and blindly picking random games. Y'all ready for this? All right, away we go, episode number 32.
Just win, baby.
Attaboy, Al. Way to keep us on our toes. Let's start off today in about an hour and 45 minutes. In the Midwest region, 12:10 Eastern in Buffalo, where top-seeded Michigan is a 12.5-point favorite over 9-seed St. Louis, and the total's 161.5. Michigan was tested in their first-round matchup by blowing Howard. By blowing. They were tested in their first-round matchup by Howard for the first half, but the sheer size of the Wolverines took over in the second half, and they just blew them out. But they didn't cover. Howard was one of my many, many, many winners this week.
Hoo-ah!
That's what it sounded like. You're welcome, by the way, for that. St. Louis showed up, right, and were shot out of a cannon and blowing out Georgia, right, during their first round win. Another one of my winners.
Hoo-ah!
They just keep coming, so just keep that on standby, Al. Both teams like to play fast. And they like to go balls to the wall. And while I think Michigan advances, the Billikens have the fight to keep coming and slide through the back door. St. Louis plus 12 and a hook and over 161.5. East region on CBS at 2:45 Eastern in Buffalo. Third-seeded Michigan State's a 4.5-point chalk versus 6-seed Louisville. And the total's listed at 152. Both teams came out strong Thursday, but while Michigan State cruised to a 25-point blowout of Hawaii, Louisville blew a big lead and allowed South Florida to sneak in through the back door and get me a cover. There's freaking bracket guy still blowing me up. I refuse to even comment. There are plenty of ways to play and win, and Michigan State proves that every time they play in mid-March. Leading scorer and all-around badass Jeremy Fears Jr. only took 6 shots and scored 7 points, but his Spartans still won by 25. Louisville was and still is without leading scorer Mikel Brown Jr., but they got big-time production from Isaac McNeely and Ryan Conwell in holding off South Florida's late surge Thursday. It's kind of hard to believe, but this was Louisville's first NCAA tournament win in 9 years. I like the way they're playing, but the old saying is death, taxes, and Tom Izzo in March. Give me Sparty here, laying 4.5 and under 152. East Region on CBS at 5:15 Eastern in Greenville. Top-seeded Duke is 11.5-point favorite over 9-seed Texas Christian, and the total's 140.5. The Madness of March almost had an historic upset Thursday as Siena gave Duke all they could handle before Duke took out the Saints down the stretch. Duke was down 11 at halftime, but the Boozer twins picked it up and delivered in the clutch. TCU had a 15-point halftime lead over Ohio State in their opener, and after an ice-cold spell found themselves down 5 with 4 minutes left. But the Frogs righted the ship, though a balanced and scoring effort got them through to the second round. For Duke, starters Patrick Ngumba and Caleb Foster were still out, and it doesn't look like they're going to go today either. Those are big losses, and Duke desperately needs both of them. TCU's very well coached and balanced, which is a huge bonus this time of year. I had both of these teams to cover on Thursday, and TCU delivered with a little sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was something like that. And Duke wasn't even close to covering, but I think they're going to get it today, and they're going to pull away late. Duke minus 11 and a hook and under 140.5 are the plays. South Region, 6:10 Eastern on TNT in Oklahoma City. Second-seeded Houston is a 10.5-point favorite over 10-seed Texas A&M, and the total's 142.5. Houston cruised over Idaho on Thursday, while A&M did the same against St. Mary's. Houston's loaded, and they're 1 win away from playing in their home city next weekend. I've had my doubts about A&M all season long. And though I watched... Where was I? I watched Friday night's demolition of St. Mary's, right, by A&M. And I think it was more about St. Mary's picking the worst time to have easily their worst performance of the season, more than it was about Texas A&M taking it to the Gales. A&M has been on the struggle bus lately.
Struggling.
Oh, Joe.
Struggling.
I knew that was you. One more time, Joe.
Struggling.
That's what A&M has been on lately. I don't see this one being as close as it looks like. So I'm going to go with chalk early today because I am. Houston, minus 10 and a hook, over 142.5. Tonight, West Region, 7:10 Eastern on TBS in Portland. 3-seed Gonzaga is a 6.5-point favorite versus 11-seeded Texas, and the total's 147.5. Gonzaga was tested by Kennesaw State Thursday before pulling away late, but not covering. While Texas took out BYU despite A.J. DeBonsa showing the world why he's a freaking pimp. I said that I don't believe Texas belonged in the tournament, and even though they took out NC State in the play-in game and BYU on Thursday, they've been fortunate to have a good draw. This is another one. Gonzaga's the better team with the size and the defense, but Texas ain't going anywhere. I like the Horns here, catching 6.5 and under 147.5. South Region tonight at 7:50 Eastern on CBS in Greenville. 3-seed Illinois is a 10.5-point chalk versus 11th-seeded Virginia Commonwealth, and the total's 151.5. Illinois cruised past Penn on Thursday by hanging 105 points on the Quakers, while VCU came back from a 15-point deficit to tie it and ultimately beat North Carolina in overtime by holding the Heels scoreless for a 5-minute stretch. Carolina's trash. Just go away. All right? I'm glad you're gone. Don't have to deal with you anymore. All right? And your non-playing defense ass and can't make a free throw ass. Sorry. Just, as you can tell, I'm not a big Carolina fan. VCU's won 17 of their last 18, and their relentlessness on the offensive end is really impressive. But the Illini have that look as a team that can make it to Indianapolis in 2 weeks. Illinois has to be the play here, as the Illini are just as relentless as the Rams. Illinois minus 10.5 over 151.5. A lot of chalk. South Region, 8:45 Eastern on TNT in Oklahoma City. 5-seed Vanderbilt's a 1.5-point favorite over 4th-seeded Nebraska, and the total's 146.5. Vanderbilt played hard. They played really hard, and they outlasted a very game McNeese squad on Thursday, but I did hit McNeese with the points. Oh, wow, Al. Had that one queued up. Nebraska absolutely cruised and blasted Troy by 30 and getting the first NCAA win in program history, becoming the last power conference school to get one, which is still hard to believe. Vanderbilt got the win the same way they've been winning all season, with super point guard Tyler Tanner's fingerprints all over it, and Duke Miles and Tyler Nickel both chipping in. Nebraska also won their way by running and gunning and firing. Forward Bryce Sanford was 7 of 12 from downtown and looked like he was shooting free throws instead of 25-footers. Nebraska's going to go and Vandy will go when needed, but they don't want a track meet. Neither team is big, and they're both guard dominant. Nebraska got their W out of the way, and good for them, but I really like Vandy here as Duke Miles and A.K.O. Karakay's defense is going to slow down the Huskers just enough for the Doors to get the W. Vandy minus 1.5 and over 146.5. West Region tonight, 9:45 Eastern on TBS in Portland. 4-seed Arkansas is 11-point favorite versus 12th-seeded High Point, and the total's 169.5. Arkansas just pounced on Hawaii on Thursday, and they cruised to a 19-point victory, which I gave. Oh, that's what it was. Ow. Just ready to roll. Darius Acuff once again led the Hogs, who got 5 guys in double figures, while High Point had the upset of the day of the weekend as the 5-12 matchup struck again in the Panthers' win over Wisconsin. High Point also had 5 guys in double figures led by Rob Martin. But the thing about the Panthers is that they never have a hard time scoring, right? Arkansas will run, but they prefer not to, while High Point wants to go and never stop pushing the tempo. Arkansas only played 6 players, while High Point plays 8. Big difference. This could be a track meet if High Point has their way. But while I'm happy for what the Panthers pulled off against Wisconsin, they don't have an answer for Acuff, who can go for 40 against High Point's soft defense. Woo Pig Suey is the play here. Give me Arkansas minus 11, under 169.5. We also have 2 NIT second-round matchups that take place today. And the first one at 7 Eastern, I'll roll with Dayton, minus 2 and a chunk on the road at NC Wilmington. And in the late game at 9 Eastern, I like Liberty on the road, catching 7.5 at Nevada. You may call me crazy, and a lot of you do, but action is action. And this is the way that I roll at the end of the season. So I'm going to take advantage of as many games as possible. All right? So that's it. I think I'm done. Am I done?
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah, of course I am. Just getting it going. Let's move on to tomorrow. Round 2 games. The first one is in the Midwest region at 12:10 Eastern on CBS in St. Louis. The second-seeded Purdue is a 7.5-point favorite over 7-seed Miami, and the total's 147.5. After finishing the season with a flurry by winning the Big Ten Conference Tournament and then crushed Queens University yesterday behind a record-breaking performance by Braden Smith, who's now the NCAA's all-time leader in assists. Miami and Missouri were in a heated battle until Miami kicked in the afterburners and wound up beating up Missouri to advance. Miami has some dangerous weapons that attack from the wings, led by Malik Reneau and Trey Donaldson. But Purdue's triple option of Smith, Fletcher, Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Renn will be too much for Miami to overcome. Despite all of this, I still like Miami with the points to keep this one respectable and come in under the number. Give me the Canes catching 7.5 and under 147.5. Midwest region, 2:45 Eastern on CBS in St. Louis. Second-seeded Iowa State's a 4.5-point favorite versus 7-seed Kentucky, and the total set at 145.5. Kentucky hasn't been bad over the last 2 weeks, and they got a buzzer beater half-court shot yesterday to force the game into overtime before beating Santa Clara. Huge win for the Cats. The problem is that Iowa State is not Santa Clara. Aside from ISU's buzzer-beating loss to Arizona in the Big 12 tournament semifinal, the Cyclones have been steamrolling teams. They blasted Tennessee State by 34 yesterday, though the big news is that second-team All-American forward Joshua Jefferson injured his ankle, and his status for tomorrow is up in the air. That basically means he's out. He's not playing tomorrow. That's why the number's only 4.5. It should be 9. It wouldn't be, but it should be. Let Jefferson rest up for the Sweet 16 next weekend, and go ahead and take care of business tomorrow. Today. Tomorrow. Sorry, that's tomorrow. It's Sunday. They will, Iowa State is going to make yet another favorite, right, that I like so far. And at -4 and a chunk and under 145.5, yeah. Come on. East region, 5:15 Eastern on CBS in San Diego. Yeah, that's the East region in San Diego for some crazy reason. 5th seed St. John's, a 3.5-point favorite versus 4th seed Kansas. And the total set at 143.5. Bill Self versus Rick Pitino. Don't get much better than this. 2 Hall of Fame coaches. St. John's rolled to the Big East regular season and tournament titles and just continued yesterday as they beat up on a clearly overmatched Northern Iowa squad. Once again, the Johnnies were led by Big East Player of the Year, Zuby Ejiofor, and Rick Pitino's pressure defense. Kansas has long been the class of the Big 12, but this year, they had their share of issues. Yet, here's Bill Self, again, in the second round after KU held off a pesky Cal Baptist squad last night. Freshman pimp Darren Peterson is the engine that makes the Jayhawks go, and we're really going to see his worth tomorrow against this brutal St. John's pressure defense. I like the Johnnies to continue their run and advance to the Sweet 16 after taking out Kansas. St. John's -3.5 and under 143.5 are the plays here. Give me a second. All right. West Region, 7:50 Eastern on True TV in San Diego. Top seeded Arizona's a 12-point chalk over 9-seed Utah State, and the total's listed at 156.5. Arizona cruised past LIU yesterday and never broke a sweat, while Utah State played one of their best games of the season, but couldn't shake Villanova until the final 2 minutes. Mountain West Player of the Year Mason Falslev and MJ Collins Jr. make up a formidable backcourt for Utah State. But Arizona's a freaking machine right now. And I don't think they're going to be tested until they reach Indianapolis in 2 weeks for the Final Four. I like Utah State. I've liked them all year, and I've cashed plenty of tickets with their name on them. But good night and good luck, Aggies. Zona -12, under 156.5. Midwest Region, 6:10 Eastern on TNT in Stoniecastas. 6-seed Tennessee is a 1.5-point favorite versus 3rd-seeded Virginia, and the total's 137.5. Tennessee cruised past Miami, Ohio yesterday like they were supposed to, bracket guy. All right? You haven't beaten anybody. Jesus. Virginia took out Wright State to set up a Battle of the Orange in the city of brotherly love tomorrow. UVA finished their season strong while Tennessee didn't. Their last 3 wins in the last 2 weeks were over Miami of Ohio, South Carolina, and Auburn. Hardly a murderer's row. They did, however, lose to Vanderbilt twice in the course of 1 week just to prove that Vandy is the dominant team in the state and stick it right up Tennessee's asses. You want me to take a dog? My pleasure. Virginia, plus 1.5 with a sprinkle. With a sprinkle. I know you're there, E40.
Sprinkle me, man.
There he is. I knew he was there. Give me that sprinkle, and while we're at it, give me under 137.5. South Region, 7:10 Eastern tomorrow night on TBS in Tampa. Top-seeded Florida's 10.5-point chalk over 9-seed Iowa, and the total's 145.5. Iowa advanced by playing Iowa ball in a defensive slugfest win over Clemson, while Florida did what Florida does, as they rolled to a brutal 59-point blowout win of Prairie View A&M. Iowa's defense is their identity, as Florida's size just overwhelms people, and I still believe that their SEC tournament semifinal loss to Vanderbilt was the best thing for Florida to gain some perspective and prepare for another deep run as they drive toward defending their title. Florida continues to look dominant as they crush Iowa and they move on to the Sweet 16 next week. This one gets ugly. Florida minus 10.5, under 145.5. Tomorrow night in the East Region, 8:45 Eastern on TNT in Stoniecastas. Second-seeded Connecticut's 4.5-point favorite versus 7-seed UCLA, and the total's 136.5. UCLA beat somehow Central Florida last night, despite clear evidence of point shaving, and cost UCLA bettors some serious skrill, right? While UConn couldn't seem to shake Furman, who also got the cover. UCLA and UConn are just terrifying because neither one of them have that it factor. And they both have domineering coaches who will blow a gasket at the drop of a hat. Danny Hurley versus Mick Cronin is the best matchup of the weekend, right? Well, Self versus Patino is actually a pretty good match. But this one is the most entertaining matchup. I mean, come on, right? Neither team has been inspiring. The big story is whether or not UCLA's leading scorer Tyler Bilodeau is going to play, as he missed his third straight game last night. If he goes, UCLA wins. But even without him, UConn is so all over the place this season that I can't in good conscience take them. So I'm going to roll with the Bruins here, catching 4.5 with a sprinkle on the money line.
Sprinkle me, man.
That's what it was. And while I'm at it, give me over 136.5. This week's Degenerate special is on Sunday night instead of Saturday night because the weekend's on Sunday this time. In the Midwest region, Tampa, 9:45 Eastern on TBS, where 5th-seeded Texas Tech is 1.5-point favorite over 4-seed Alabama, and the total's 164.5. Both teams cruised in their openers yesterday as they both won by 20. Bama took out Hofstra, and Texas Tech wore down Akron. Bama's the highest scoring team in the nation, and they want to just keep piling on behind super sophomore LeBaron Philon Jr., while Texas Tech is relying on multiple scorers without star JT Toppin. In his absence, though, guards Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell have significantly stepped up. The Raiders did stumble down the stretch, though, losing 3 in a row heading into the tournament, while Bama was peaking until their loss to Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Bama's relentless, though, and while Tech can hang with them, I like the Tide here to run away and hide, all right, late. Alabama catching a point and a hook with a little sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
That's what it is. And also give me over 164.5 to close out the first round in the late night get right tomorrow night. Still not done yet? Yeah, well, I mean, why not? We have a host of second-round NIT matchups for tomorrow. So here you go for those of you degenerates like me that are going to bet on these games as well. 4:30 Eastern on the Deuce, I'll take Illinois State on the road catching 7.5 at Wake Forest. 6:30 Eastern on Il Duce. Give me Seattle on the road plus 14.5 at Auburn. 7 Eastern on the U, I'll roll with Tulsa at home laying 4 over UNLV. 8 Eastern on ESPN Plus, I like George Washington on the road, catching 7 and a hook at New Mexico. 8:30 Eastern on the Deuce, I'll ride with Oklahoma State at home laying 3 over Wichita State. And finally, 9 Eastern on the U, give me St. Joe's catching 5.5 on the road at Cal. I mean, that has to be enough. That's all 16 second-round games with totals to give us a nice, tidy 32 plays. But when you add on the 8 NIT matchups, we got 40 more to get us action where we can get it. Make sure to check back into the comments section for NIT matchups on Tuesday this week and check out STONIECAST 207, which is going to drop Wednesday night and have all of the Sweet 16 matchups. So until then, just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. Good teams win, but great teams cover. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. The less you bet, the more you win when you lose. Shout out to Chris the Bear FALLICA. Now for me, the action is the juice.
You know, for me, the action is the juice. Amen.
I'm in. You tell him, Mikey. The difference between winning and making money is that anyone can win betting chalk, but you can't make money unless you take the dogs. God made life a gamble, and we're still in the game. Shout out to the late, great Joe Diffie. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you. And yeah, I still miss you, Gooch, my brother. I know you'd love this time of year because I miss you more than ever.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.